Hey everybody. So I've been working on a new feature in simlaps.racing client. Right now it's kind of beta-ish. I'm still testing a bunch of stuff, but I want to let other people use it and get feedback. And what it is telemetry. So this is showing the settings in the client. And what you do is you enable telemetry, and then you set a directory of where you want the output files to go. And then what you can do is you can save settings, and then just to be safe, you can close the client, reopen it, go back to settings, and make sure that this stays enabled. And what this does is it monitors the shared memory locations from the game as you're racing, and it records stuff. And when I say stuff, I'll show what that looks like. So there's really two files that come out after you're done. And in my case, I'm going to show what this looks like. So if we go to telemetry, you end up with an HTML file and you end up with this text file. Okay? And what the HTML file does is it has the track and it shows you different things around the track by lap. So your speed, your braking, and your throttle applications. And you can switch. Then you have your speed trace and you can compare lap to lap. It has corner speeds. So I did my best to populate the tracks so they have names. So you have your corner speeds. You also have a table for the corner speeds. And you have input channels. So you have your brakes and your throttle. So this is typical telemetry stuff. So for example, we can look at lap 1 throttle versus lap 2 throttle. And you can see where you get on the throttle earlier, or for example, where you get on the brakes earlier. And that could help you with kind of figuring out where you're losing time. We also have a few other metrics here that you can look at. So for example, you can look at your lateral Gs, and on your faster lap in a specific corner, you might be pulling in more Gs than on the corner that's slower. So you're like, okay, I didn't have to slow down enough, or I didn't have to slow down as much. So this HTML file will get generated after every session that you run. And depending on the number of laps, they would show up. And then the more laps you have, the more data would show up. Now, one more thing we have here is what gets generated is this AI prompt file. So this is all local. It doesn't use any AI to generate this. But this creates a big prompt, okay? So in this case, it was about 387 lines. And what you can do is you basically copy this. You can go to your favorite chat client. So you can use ChatGPT, or in my case, I prefer Claude, and you just paste it in. And what you get is you get a full analysis. So it'll tell you sort of where you're losing time. It'll give you a brake analysis. It'll give you a corner by corner analysis saying what it thinks you could do better. And this is all based on the prompt that is generated by the simlaps.racing client. And so it does this turn in and line analysis, throttle application, grip utilization. So you can look at places where you're losing the most time and then try to adopt sort of the advice it gives you. But that's kind of not really the best part. What it does is it'll look at tire grip and it'll tell you, let's say you have a longer race that's like 10 laps. It can tell you, you're like, okay, like your tires are falling off after lap 5. So if you don't want to pit or whatever, maybe you need to take it easier on your tires because your grip is going to be falling off. It'll look at sort of gear selection and throttle application. So it's like, okay, like in this case, in some turn, maybe you should have been in second gear instead of third gear. So you can look at that stuff and kind of optimize for that. But this is sort of, for me, the best part. What it's going to do is it's going to look at your stats for your session, and it'll give you setup tips. So in this case, it thinks I should decrease my pressures by half a PSI. It also gives you camber and toe recommendations. It gives you anti-roll bar and spring and damper recommendations. So it might be like, okay, like in this car, you might want to decrease the slow compression rate and increase in the rear the slow rebounding rate. It also gives you brake bias information. So cars that have that tweakable, you can tweak it. It has a priority list, whatever, and then it gives you like your optimal time that you can achieve. And I think it's pretty cool. It doesn't require sort of anything. It doesn't cost you any money. You can go to any free client, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, and just paste in that whole file that is generated, this file right here, and it'll come back with advice for you. And I'll post links where you can sort of report bugs. I am one person. This is a hobby project, so I don't know how quickly I can get to this stuff, but I love to get feedback. All right, thanks.